Great time. And hopefully next
And maybe even some of us older owners is, but I'm back.
It's Mizzah Tee on E3. Hey there, fools. Mizzah Tee here, and I'm back finally. Been away for a while. Had a lot of things to take care of in the personal life and some professional life stuff too. But I'm back, and we're gonna talk about the game of the decade, the game of this generation or next generation, however you want to look at it. Which is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, revealed to us at E3 by Nintendo. And as you can see, the title of this video is called Breath of the Wow, because, wow, this game looks amazing. And I'm kind of surprised that nobody used that kind of play on words, Breath of the Wild. But, I'm clever like that, so... No, but we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to say I did record some impressions like right after the treehouse for the new Zelda game. And that was obviously a couple weeks ago now. And a lot of things came out since then that I learned that I didn't realize at the time of watching that and giving those impressions. So I decided, let me just go re-record the thing and give my full impressions on what I've seen. And but first, if you haven't, please do yourself a favor and check out At the Gamer Life 70 and 71. 71 just went up today, which is Sunday, the 26th. So go check it out, man. My boy Red Knight, shout out to him. And Turner the Juice did an excellent job. They're watching the treehouse footage real time, and they're talking about what they see and giving their impressions. Very well done, awesome format, awesome way to do that. And I wish I was available to do them because I was invited, but like I said, I was busy with personal and professional stuff. So please go check them out. They were both of those are really good. I just finished listening to and watching the second one, so episode 71 of the AGL podcast. So do yourself a favor, like I said, go check those out. And I've given my impressions before. I given them on Juices Loosed. I've given them on the Juices Loose podcast, which I'm a regular member of. So check out Terminator Juice's channel if you want more stuff, because I'm sure I'm gonna try to not go over stuff that I said there, and I'm probably going to mimic some of the stuff that Red Knight and Terminator said in the AGL podcast on it. So, but let's get into it. Like I said, wow, this game looks amazing. It's incorporating all like new things that were brought to this genre, action RPG, kind of Western style, with crafting and all that stuff. Something that it's weird that the Zelda series hasn't done, because they not that Zelda started the action RPG genre, but they were the ones that pretty much pioneered it. And some of this stuff you would think would have already been in. Obviously, we got a lot of that stuff in Skyward Sword. It was kind of the stepping stone to see how it would feel in a new Zelda game to have that kind of stuff happen. It seems like they perfected it this time. From the gameplay footage I've seen, it's just so cool to see how this world blends together. All the things, all the elements in the world fit together and pretty seamlessly. Like, there's all these little scenarios that can happen in your game that won't happen in somebody else's game, and you can kind of share those stories. And I mean, that to me is kind of the best thing about this. And I wouldn't even know how they would go about designing a world like that. But that's why those guys are the wizards. And we've seen a lot of these elements in other games, but we haven't seen them in one game all together and seemingly work so well. Obviously, we don't have the game, but from what we've seen, people playing it, all this stuff, with the little scenarios that could happen and the different ways you can approach enemies, and how all this seems to work in one game. I don't think we've seen this before, and it's no surprise why this was many journalists' game of show, because of a lot of stuff I'm saying right here. Like, and I kind of thought about what was this like for me watching this. What did it remind me of as far as my gaming history? And I think Red Knight said it felt like the first time he played Super Mario 64, the first time he saw it. And Terminator Juice said it was like Ocarina of Time. And I think I'm going to go with that. It's probably easier to say that because obviously this is another Zelda game. But I'm going to go with that because I remember, and I think I said this in Juice's podcast, that the first time I've seen footage of Ocarina of Time was way back in '97, I believe. Walking into Software Etc. For all you old heads out there, if you know that store, that's where I used to buy a lot of my video games in the mid '90s. And walking in there, and they had a TV display, and they had a gameplay loop, more cinematic loop of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And I remember the first time I saw that, and one of the big things that stood out to me was first watching Link fight in Hyrule Field, and you think he was fighting Stalfos, and watching the sun go down, and watching the sun come up, and hearing the cuckoos clucking, and him drop down into that. I think it's the first boss battle. Is it the first boss? No, it can't be, because that was the spider, the Goma. Whichever one it was, where he falls down into Dodongo Cavern, and he faces off against King Dodongo. And the first time I saw that, and I was just like blown away. And that to me is more like what I felt the first time I saw and realized the gameplay of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And it took me right back to that moment. And it's good that I can still feel that way all these years later about a video game. Just completely blow me away at this point in my gaming life, if you will. I just, I can't wait to get my hands on this game and just explore, because I'm huge into exploring in video games. And that's probably why I don't care for the linear games as much, because I'm so into exploring a new world. And I'll still play linear games here and there, but they don't grab me as much as a game that the world feels alive and feels like it's breathing, if you will, to pun. And yeah, I mean, like all the elements and how they made Zelda so different, yet gone back to the first one, where you can pretty much go anywhere in that game. Obviously, you need to raft and stuff to go across bodies of water, but a lot of the places you can go to right from the get-go, and you'll get your ass handed to you if you're not ready for them, equipment wise and hearts wise. So to bring that aesthetic back to Zelda is awesome, and it looks like a harder Zelda. And the first two, I guess first three, if you count A Link to the Past, because Link to the Past was still relatively challenging here and there. It's the first game in the Zelda series back to being pretty difficult. You can die. You will die a lot. And a lot of the later 3D Zeldas may have died one or two times in the whole playthrough. And I think I'm going to die a few times, especially if I'm going to start exploring and doing all kinds of crazy stuff before I'm ready for it, which is something I'm going to do. I've done that in Xenoblade Chronicles. I've gone way out, spent hours and hours going way out to accomplish nothing and just get killed, and all that was for nothing. So I'm sure that's going to happen in Breath of the Wild too. Hopefully a little bit better. Hopefully it won't be a complete waste if I spent 2 hours in an area. So, but yeah, I mean, this game looks amazing. Like I said, takes me right back to that crazy feeling of seeing Ocarina of Time for the first time. and happy that a game can still do that. The music sounds amazing. They are doing some voice acting, obviously. I think it'll be for main story points, main story narrative. But I believe that voice is Zelda. I hope it is because I think it's really good voice acting. And I think that voice would really fit Zelda and give her a whole new layer to her character, which is always cool. So I feel like that old man might be the king. We'll see, but I think he's the king of the Red Lions, or Zelda's father. So we'll see if that's the case. Much of the game is an evolution, like I said, of what they were doing in Skyward Sword, which is pretty cool. The whole basically Sheikah technology thing I like a lot. With the Sheikah slate, I'm trying not to get too much info on the game. I don't want to ruin some of the surprises, if you will. But I'm just gonna give a general description of what I've known, what I've seen, and my impressions of that stuff. So I've mostly done that already. Let me see, am I leaving anything? Yeah, it looks like the raft is back, which is cool. Active gamer life. Red Knight brought that up previously before we knew, and he was proven. I don't know if he was guessing that it would come back or hoping that it would come back, but either way, it's back. So I'm happy for that. And like I said, a lot of the stuff in the game is kind of like almost like I don't want to say a reimagining of the first game, but there's a lot of stuff from the old Zelda that they're bringing back to the new one. So and a lot of new ways and things. We probably won't see a Ganondorf, and we've kind of seen Ganon. Obviously you've seen the purplish cloud floating around Hyrule Castle. He's basically trapped there. And there's been some theories on a lot of that stuff, like with the what are they called, the Guardians, those spider-like robot-like creatures that shoot the laser beams. If you'll notice, like their color, instead of just being all blue like the Sheikah technology, because it's believed that those Guardians were made by the Sheikas to protect Hyrule, and that's why they're called Guardians. And if you look at the Guardians that attack you in the fields and whatnot, they have that same kind of purplish coloring to their their light. They have the blue stuff, but it seems like they've been corrupted by the purple light, which we've seen is Ganon's light. The like the smoke, billowy kind of Ganon that's floating around Hyrule Castle. You can see that his light, light that emanates from his smoke and him, is purplish. Very, the back's basically the same purple that you see in the Guardian's light. So it's believed. So it looks like he's corrupted the Guardians, and that's why they attack Link. Even though Link is obviously trying to restore Hyrule and get rid of Ganon. So that's really interesting stuff. That's pretty cool that they're going that in depth with the character of Ganon and what he's done to the world, and Link waking up in that chamber, which I think he's being resurrected. I think it's called the Resurrection Chamber, right? I think I might be wrong about that, but how cool would it be that he fought Ganon and basically died. Ganon won, and he took over Hyrule, and the goddesses or some kind of sages came about and trapped him, and they're the ones who brought Link back to life. And it took I guess what it said, 100 years. I don't know if that's right, or how long he's been in that sleep chamber, but it took that long to bring him back after Ganon's rule, or what Ganon did. So this is going to be, I think the story is going to be one of the best in the series, and I can't wait till that's revealed. Obviously, I don't want it to be revealed until I'm playing it. So, but I'm sure a lot more stuff is going to come out as the months go by. And when the NX is finally revealed, I'm sure they'll talk more about that and the NX version of maybe they'll talk about the NX version of Breath of the WoW, and we'll see from that. So it's pretty exciting stuff, man. It's just, it's really refreshing to what they're doing to Zelda. I'm happy with, everything. I was, skeptical and worried about some stuff, but I'll hold my skepticism back until I know more, because, a lot of it's just skepticism based on nothing, just guesses. So, because, Aonuma talked about you can go right to Ganon and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if he said you can beat him if you don't collect certain things, but I would guess you can't beat him without the Master Sword. So it would be interesting to see what happens if you ran up on him with with some regular old sword and a wooden shield. But that's the stuff that makes it so exciting. That makes this game so cool and refreshing and different. And I've seen a lot of people who aren't really Zelda fans say that this is the Zelda for them. This is the type of Zelda they could get into because of a lot of things they're incorporating. They're adding from the kind of the Western style of RPGs. So that's a great thing. I'm a huge fan of Zelda, and I want it to go on and continue to be an awesome series. And it looks like it's doing that. And I guess that's kind of what I was saying about Metroid. When I was saying that Nintendo needs to kill Metroid, I was saying, I was being a little facetious there, but I was saying that they got to incorporate some stuff in a way that works for Metroid, but also can bring in a newer audience. Because as much as we want Metroid, those games that have been coming out haven't been selling. So you can't expect the company to keep pouring, gas into a tank that has a hole in the bottom. It just doesn't make sense if they're going to spend all that money and resources and stuff to make these games and nobody's buying them. You can cry all you want, but that's just business. So maybe they'll look at Zelda and what they're doing to Zelda, and then look at Metroid and see how they can incorporate classic Metroid and some Western style stuff to get more gamers into Metroid. And maybe Metroid will have a renaissance too, just like Zelda. I don't think that's a great term. I think this is Zelda's renaissance, and it's great to see that. I would like to see some, 30th anniversary stuff, Nintendo, specific stuff talking about Zelda's 30th year. But we'll see if we get any of that. But it will be, like I said, I'm really excited for this game. It the games come along and they reinvigorate you as a gamer, and it was really cool that this game could do that, especially being Zelda, especially because how Zelda's supposed to play and how they're going to be. It was really cool to see that it can invoke that feeling in me again, and I think it did that to a lot of gamers, so that's very cool going forward. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about Breath of the WoW. Are you excited for it? You like where it's going? Let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. And I feel like there's one more thing I want to say. I've been away a while, and so there's a lot of videos in my head, and some I've recorded already that I want to get out. And so you'll see the continuing saga of Squeak's Decay coming up, and what happened with Mizzah Tee, the action figure, and the B team, and that whole scenario. There's some funny stuff coming. I think it's funny anyway, so hopefully you will too. And so be looking forward to that. Much of it will come out this week on my channel. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you fools next time. Breath of the WoW. Oh yeah, one more thing. Play Nintendo, fools.
Do.